financial survival network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to CarrieLutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
This show is now brought to you by Miles Franklin. And when it comes to protecting your wealth, you know there's nothing better than gold and silver. That's what I'm buying. I hope you're doing the same. And once you make the decision to buy gold and silver, there's no better place than Miles Franklin. Look, they've been in business 22 years. And the reason I'm a customer is because when you buy, they ship. Go to milesfranklin.com or call them at 800-822-8080 to get a free quote. 1490 WGCH. This is Carrie Lutz. You're listening to The Wrap with Carrie Lutz and Ty Andros. For more information, go to carrielutz.com or tedbits.com. And now, if you're wondering where our freedoms are going, are they really eroding? And is totalitarian just a turnkey away? Well, Ty's got some alarming news about recent events. Ty, how are you today?
Well as can be expected. It couldn't be more alarming, but there are great opportunities inside of catastrophe, as you well know. But the listeners, definitely need to be preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And
what impact do the latest encroachments by the administration have on you? What can you do to protect yourself, and where does it leave you?
Well, to protect yourself, you need to be accumulating the things of freedom.
Which are?
I hate to say it, but excess foodstuffs and water and, a gun and bullets and, batten down the hatches, because you can't look at the activities of the federal government over the last 4 months and not come to the conclusion that something bad is about to be dropped on the U.S. economy. And they're going to be using that, Rahm Emanuel called it crisis a terrible thing to waste. And so they're going to precipitate a crisis, I believe, and use what they've been doing quietly without any kind of reporting by the mainstream media to put their jackboot on our necks.
And how close do you think this is, Ty?
I would have to say that I believe it's going to be sprung before the election, and that the Obama administration is going to use that as an excuse to not have them.
And I've heard those suspicions, those rumors before, and so far they haven't come true. Why do you think that this time is really different?
Well, we're going to play a game that I used to play when I was a child, and it's called Connect the Dots. And you have to understand that whenever you do economic analysis or analysis of government, you can never do it from the headlines. You have to do it from what their actions are. And the actions of the government are in the Defense Authorization Act in December. They put in a clause in there which allowed them to declare any American a terrorist. And it defined activities which would be related to terrorists, which include stockpiling food or bullets or MREs or whatever as terrorist activities. So basically, just getting ready for an economic collapse can be called an act of terrorism. And then about and I've put a link up here on this next point. Then about 4 weeks ago, they quietly passed a law, and they've been doing this in municipalities for about a year, where they are now banning the right to protest peacefully. and to gather for any period of time in a park in a protest. So they took it one step further 4 weeks ago, and said if the Secret Service is present, you cannot protest, and it is a felony to do so. So that if you go to any kind of a political rally where a politician is present, if he has any kind of Secret Service detail with him, it is a felony to protest against him. So no one's going to be able to, town hall meetings are meaningless, aren't they? Constituents are not going to be allowed to protest or speak their mind about the wrongdoings of the political class, especially on a federal level.
Yeah, which are legendary, of course.
And then last Friday night, Obama wrote another executive order, which basically placed martial law on the United States with all of his cabinet secretaries as czars in their areas of responsibility. And I mean, it is a martial law statement. And he's controlling energy and transportation and homeland security and, all the different energies, EPA, everything. It was a sweeping, breathtaking executive order, which, we don't have the rule of law anymore. So, he really needed to get this through the legislature, but, the rule of law left a long time ago. And then this week, it's being reported that the federal government is in the private marketplace spending hundreds of millions of dollars to buy up all the ammunition that's in the private sector. Well, I guess if you can't get rid of the guns, you just get rid of the ammo.
I actually got some information on that from a listener of the show who is involved in the firearms industry, and he visited a large distributor of ammunition, one of the largest in the country, and was told that they get containers of ammunition, which is about 1.3 million rounds, 64,000 boxes, and that they are sold, and we're talking .223 caliber rounds, the so-called NATO round that works in AR-15s. The container, all 1.3 million rounds, are gone within 24 hours, sold. And that's what we're seeing here. The other thing this guy told me is, you've heard that gun sales are through the roof, especially since the current administration started. It's actually much greater than anybody is aware of, because the way they measure these sales, or the way they release these statistics to the public, is that if you try to purchase a gun, a background check is done on you through the FBI. And the FBI keeps statistics on the background checks, but for each background check that's performed upon you, you could buy up to 3 guns. Now, it used to be that just 1 was the average for each background check, but the fact is, the average number of guns purchased per background check has gone way up, somewhere between probably almost 2 to 3, somewhere in between there. So as a result, gun sales are much higher than anybody is reporting. And of course, that's a statistic that the government doesn't want you to know.
Well, let's just thank God for it.
Hey, God, guns, gold, and food. And it might very well come down to that. I'm always the optimist until the very end, till proven otherwise. But these trends are certainly alarming. It's certainly a power grab, and there are no checks and balances on your government any longer, are there?
No, laws are just routinely ignored. It just doesn't matter what it is. It's rampant. We just have the rule of man, not the rule of law. And, the chosen one calls it the Bill of Rights and the Constitution negative rights.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's negative rights because it stops him from doing what he's doing. But there's nobody in any position of authority that is challenging him.
Yeah, exactly. There are no checks and balances. So you're thinking that this election in November is not going to happen, huh?
Oh, I don't know. I just know that I never believe anything the press says, but I do look at what their actions are. And then I try to, say, well, what would these actions indicate? And these actions don't indicate a picnic.
Actions speak louder than words, right?
Well, words are meaningless in today's society. No one's been taught the meaning of the Constitution or anything else. It's now come down to, does the government own America, or does America own the government?
So you're thinking that this is going to happen sooner rather than later, huh?
Well, like I said, I never listen to what the government says or the press, because the press never reports it. But, I do look at their actions, and their actions speak louder than words, and don't fail to heed the message it's delivering.
Yeah, well, I guess you ignore their actions at your own peril, but it certainly looks like the whole crisis, the worldwide financial crisis, has reached a new level. Picture the Titanic hitting that iceberg and the captain saying, "Don't worry about the water that's up to your waist. We're going to drain it out. The ship is unsinkable. We're not going to sink." And then they go down with the ship. Or like those people, during 9/11 in Tower 2, when the first plane hit, and they said, "Don't worry about it. It's under control. Go back to your desk and await further instruction." In this case, you probably shouldn't be awaiting further instruction, should you?
No. And I hate to be, somebody that is screwing up the party, but that's really why we're not here. We're really here to keep people well informed and allow them to take the actions necessary to safeguard themselves and their families. That's what Financial Survival Network and the No Spin Zone is. It's we're here to give you unvarnished truth, and or at least our belief of what it is. God help us all.
Well, the way I see it is like all the building blocks, all the steps necessary for complete totalitarianism are in place now. And all it takes is one provocation, another 9/11, and I'm not going to get into the discussion of it. Wasn't it an inside job or wasn't it? I don't believe it was an inside job personally, but honestly, it makes no difference if it was, because we're in the same situation either way, where the next one, there's complete loss of rights. I wonder if all travel will be restricted and you'll be stuck in the country till this thing works itself out. And then we're going to find out what it really means to be an American, I think.
Well, unfortunately, half the population doesn't know because they were never taught it. The audience, we love you. We love you. But right now, you're in the fights of your lives. I urge you not to be politically apathetic. And as I've said before, they're Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the Republicans and the Democrats, but somebody's got to slow this juggernaut down. I hope that you support Romney, because you have to support the least evil.
Yeah, it's the evil of the two lessers. But, the amazing thing here is that basically the parties have devolved down, and maybe they always were and we just didn't realize it. It's two crime families, and they're duking it out. It's the Gambino crime family.
And the Gaudis and the Gambinos.
Yeah.
I said it last time.
Yeah, that's it.
Fighting turf wars known as elections to see who gets the front row, screwing the public. but the money's not there. Yeah, well,
that's it. That's it. We're heading for a collapse. In my opinion, I've felt this way since 2007. There's nothing that's been done that's going to stop it, and there's nothing that can be done to stop it. You just have to make the decision whether you're going to collapse. Your personal economy is going to collapse with the national economy and the global economy, because they're all going down here, and you have to decide whether you're going to go down with the ship, whether you're going to stay on the Titanic and hope that it'll stay afloat, or you're going to go onto one of those lifeboats and live to fight another day?
Well, I don't believe it's the global economy. I believe it's the developed world economies. I believe that Asia is sitting on vast wealth, and they produce real wealth. They produce more than they consume. They don't believe in government. They don't have big welfare systems. They just need to start spending a little more of their own savings.
Yeah, but the problem with that, and I agree with you that it could be like U.S. in World War II, where we have all this production heading for the military, and then we make a U-turn, peace breaks out, and we start satisfying internal demand. The problem with that is you got all these export-based economies that are going to lose a large chunk of their demand overnight, and that is going to put their citizens into a further saving frenzy. They already save a tremendous amount because there is no safety net, and we could see a cascade here, and they're holding reserves in dollars. So yeah, they're going to come up with a new fiat currency, a new world currency, SDRs, whatever. I think by the time that happens, it's probably too late. They'll come out of it faster than us, no question about it. But I think it's basically like 1929 again, and we're just waiting for that last straw to break the camel's back. Well, my personal opinion.
But actually, I'll just say that I think it's happening a little bit slower. I don't believe we're as late in it as you do. Although, we never know what the events are going to be. It's a surprise a minute these days.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to say it's going to happen tomorrow, Ty, or next month or next year, because nobody can know that, because we're dealing with human emotions. We're dealing with the ultimate human emotion and belief, which is confidence. And it's not so much confidence in a higher power, but confidence in centralized governmental authority to actually control the course of events, which we know through history you can't do, because eventually events get away. But it's going to happen. It's just a question of when. And like you said, either decide to protect yourself, and whether...
Actually, I'm gonna go one further. It's the greatest opportunity in history.
Yeah.
It is the greatest opportunity in history. But you really have to learn how to apply Austrian economics. You need to learn how you can store your wealth, and it isn't in pieces of paper.
Right.
You're going to get the best buying opportunities in stocks and real estate ever in history, I believe. It just is a huge opportunity. Yeah. But you don't look at it in fright. Just look at it in a rational manner and set your sails properly and reap it as it comes to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We've said it all along. There's going to be some rough times, but if you're properly positioned, you'll get through them. You gotta, it's going to take a lot of instinct, survival instinct, that we haven't had to deal with in the U.S. since over a century ago. But if you look at it as the opportunity that it is, just like people did during the Great Depression, more millionaires formed, more people became millionaires then than ever before in history, then you know what's coming, you're prepared for it, and when it comes, it's just going to be bargain central USA. All right, Ty, so we got to wrap up for this week, and next week we'll have some solid info. I think the picture is going to start becoming very clear very quickly. And Ty, where do we find you for more info?
Well, if you're looking for help in diversifying your portfolio into gold and silver-backed absolute return alternative investments, you need to go to traderview.com. If you're looking for Austrian commentary and no-spin news, you can go to my new website, which is tedbits.com. And, subscriptions are free. I also am going to be releasing a new newsletter, which I will forward to you tomorrow for all of the listeners, but it'll also be available on the website.
All right. Excellent. Hey, well, thanks for being on. And you can always go to kerrylutz.com. We've got Ty's commentaries floating around. and you get them on the newsletter, get the Financial Survival Toolkit. Ty, we'll see you next week, and if you're traveling, may all your travels be safe.
We will be doing this remotely from Orlando next week.
All right. Well, hey, say hi to Mickey for me.
I will. I'm going to see Mickey with my boy.
Good for you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, be well.